it is now. Alrighty then. So this here is going to be Fire It Up Friday. Now I had a real wicked idea for Fire It Up Friday. I had this idea on Thursday when my wife showed me some pictures that her oldest son took at the Habitat Restore place. And there were two absolutely mint 335s in cases. And the cases were mint too. And my bird's inside pitching a fit because I'm not in there talking to him. But yeah, there were two absolutely mint 335s in mint cases. Like, I couldn't believe it. And the guy wanted $60 a piece for them, which is like a total bargain. Like, those cases are worth a ton of money. You know, I've seen them going for, I picked them up in pretty reasonable shape for like $75. I got a few at yard sales for like 20, 25 or whatever, and from a couple collectors that knew, you don't charge your buddies premium cash for stuff like that. But these things were mint, like, and I asked my wife to go in there in the morning when they were on their way over to this place, to go in there and just pay for them, and I'd give the money back, no worries, right? I'll pick them up. And oh well, I'm not going to put it on her, but I know that if she'd gone there on the way over to where she was going instead of on the way back, I'd have them. But that's okay, because as I said to her when I was talking to her, I probably have too many 335s anyways, and I'm going to show you why. So I got a little box here that I've had for months now, and I didn't really open it because I didn't know what I was going to do with these guys, and I thought to myself what I wanted to do is just get them going and maybe give one away, or I don't know. But we're going to open this box and hope that it's not full of styrofoam peanuts, because I have no idea how this is packaged. But I know in here there is a numerous number of 335s in varying conditions. And what we are going to do today is we are going to pick the one that is the oldest, and we are going to see if we can get it to fire. Here's one. Yeah, this packed pretty good. I know one or two of these don't have any glass. This one seems to have glass. And a red knob. Oh, the label is gone. Somebody rubbed the label off. Well, that's all right. We can deal with that. Well, it's time for some glasses. Says I can see what I'm doing. This one says July of 1972. And we'll see what we got here. Okay. That is screwed. That is not moving. Fuel cap does not come off. All right, so let's see what we can do about this. This typically is what I think I need to get my 9/16 from inside. Well, we won't worry about that right away. This is what we'll do. Oh, they've really packaged these well. I'm actually pretty impressed by this. 335 is very ubiquitous to Canada. It is definitely a Canadian lantern. I mean, sure, we had a lot of 200s in that here, and you guys have 200As, right, down in the States. So there's a number 4. It doesn't look too bad. But that valve wheel is seized up. So we got a lot of newspaper. So in this box, there are supposed to be 3 335s. Like I said, we're going to pick the oldest of the bunch, and we're going to see if we can't get it to run right here on live Fire It Up Friday. Well, this ain't live, but you guys know what I mean. There isn't going to be any cuts and takes and stuff, so I'm going to put him right there. And we'll move on to lantern number 2. Let's see what we got in this little goodie bag here. Oh, the bail is in a lot nicer shape. The hat looks real good too. Well, this one's been on fire. That's a pretty typical 335 thing, by the way, guys. Sometimes 335s have a tendency to be very difficult to get lit, and people then what they do is they open up the main valve way too much to finally get it to take fuel, and by then it's flooded, and when it does ignite, so this one, the main valve works, the fuel cap works, and the tip cleaner on the generator appears to work. See if anybody's cranked the guts out of that. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, you know, you try not to worry too much about it. Yeah, we'll see what we got. We got a pretty narcissized there chip right there. There's a good chip there. There's a good chip around these holes, right? People slip and things happen. We'll take the glass off. Look, that we even got an old mantle with, oh, this one, oh, that's a shame. The glass on this one, it was intact and it is completely busted now. What? Dun, dun, dun. It is in, whoa, it is in a gazillion pieces. So it has gone to the number 4 globe heaven, and I'm just trying to see if I can figure out whether or not that was actually a Coleman, original Coleman. No, you know what? That was a replacement globe, so I don't really feel too bad about that. I happen to have a place for this right over here. Goodbye. And go in there with the other busted one. Now, let's date this old girl. We'll see where we are with this one. This one is January of 1973. So far, the first one was the oldest, and it also was not on fire. Okay, this one. Uh-oh. Oh, that works. Okay, that's moving. This one, the the globe is intact. Oh, the tip cleaner for the generator works. Obviously, we're not going to get anything out of that until we lube it up in that. And the collar is a bit kind of funky. Somebody looks as if somebody's like tried to give it a paint job on the bottom. Whoa, that fuel cap is narcissified. Oh, you ought to see in there. Hello, that's nasty. Oh, that smells like liquid ass. Hey, what's rattling around in there? Lord only knows. Okay, this is going to be the one. 2 of 1971. Oh, come on. The freaking glass in this one's busted too. Man, at this point, since I've had this thing for months and months and months, how do you complain, right? These have been hanging out, sitting on the floor in the bedroom. Yep, there's another one. Now the glass is falling out of it. I'm not even going to, that's a shame. We're just talking about piss poor packaging is what we're talking about. I figured something was going to get busted in this lot, but oh well, what do you do? That's going to go in the box, but this is going to be the lantern that we're going to try and work on anyways. We'll see if there's anything we can do to get her going. So this can go away over here in the box. We're going to have to knock all that down. We're running out of room in that box. Anyways. So that one will go, but it's not the oldest of the bunch. I want the oldest of the bunch. Sorry, I don't mean to have my back turned to you. Here. Yeah. I'm going to put this one down over here now. It just so happens I have some replacement glasses, number 4 glasses inside anyways. So where do we start with one of these? Well, we start by seeing if we can get the burner frame off, because we're going to need to give that a little bit of a buff and shine. Now, that's pretty rusty in there, but you know, believe it or not, that nut's actually moving. So we're not going to get crazy with it. we're going to do the very first thing we're going to do after we get this burner frame off is we're going to first of all, we're going to do a pressure test on it to make sure that it's holding air. And we're going to make sure that it passes air through the generator. And literally, if we can get it to pass air through the generator, I'm more than confident that we're going to be able to get it to light. What in the name of sweet Mary is that? That's some nasty ass looking stuff. All right. Very much like a 200. These are just, I don't know. They're like a 200A in the United States. These are about as ubiquitous to Canada as a 200A is into the States. So, you know, we're not going to get crazy here with the cleanup. It looks pretty good. Doesn't seem like anything's blocking that or restricting it. I'll give that a little bit of a buffy with the, you know, with the steel wool. But what I want to do is we're going to get this off of here because that's going to need to be cleaned up. I'm a little disappointed that I had 2 busted globes in shipping. I mean, I guess that's what you get, you know. It looked like they were packaged pretty good, and they did have like foam wrapped around the glass, but they were in there upside down and they were rattling around inside with the newspaper getting after everything, right? So, all right, let's first things first here. Let's, I'm just going to pop this up here. And we're going to get this pump out, see what we got for a cup, maybe get it lubricated. And, yeah. Okay, that's good. That comes out. Yeah, there's a leather on there. Oh, look, somebody's been trying to keep this thing decent, right? So I'll just peel her backwards and clean that off. My little raggaroni. It ain't as bad as it looks. I'm actually quite impressed by that. But we're going to turn her inside out. Oh, she's fairly pliable, I can tell you that. Somebody's definitely tried to keep that going. They've tried to keep her going. I'm going to put a little something on there. Little mineral oil, machine oil. This happens to be gun oil. 3-in-1 works good. Just whatever you do, don't use any vegetable-based oil, avocado oil, any of that stuff, because it winds up, first of all, it winds up getting fairly hot. And when that oil gets warm, it goes rancid. And when it goes rancid, it gets hard and it will literally destroy your leather. So, I mean, if you're stuck and you're out in the middle of nowhere and you need oil for a pump, like, open up your vehicle, pull your dipstick out, wipe your dipstick off on the pump cup. You're all good then. So I'm going to do the best I can here not to, my bird is pitching a fit in there. I'm telling you, he's going crazy. He can't deal with the fact that I'm out here and he's not. But in the summertime, I like being out here on the porch. It's kind of fun. So, and it's a great place to film, and other than the cars going by, it's awful nice. So I got some of this. This is what we're going to do here. I'm just going to give this a bit of everything, right? Here's I don't know what that is in that tip, but my eyesight's getting pretty bad here too, guys. I'm turning into an old man before your very eyes. Anyways, I try not to worry too much about growing old. It's something that we're all going to have to do. Just lately, I think more and more, I've been feeling a bit more of it than I should probably, at my age anyways. But we're going to, like I said, I have a feeling that this thing was actually lit not that long ago. I mean, I look at that, the pump cup, and I want to have a look at the tip of the stem for the check valve. Okay, so it's an older style check valve, but sometimes what tells the tale here is right on the end of that tip, right, you can tell if people have been cranking the supreme guts out of these things, there's usually like this little land here on the taper. And if you're careful, you can take like some 400 or some 600 grit paper and you can put up against it and you can just spin it, you know. And it'll polish that land a little bit. And you know, you might get, if your check valve is leaking and you can't get it to stop, you might get a little bit of time out of it before you really gotta do something with it. So this one is got a decent label on it, I guess. What I don't want to do is rub it off because well, that looks like vinyl. Some of these had water slides on them, you know. And if you spray them with Windex or some other window cleaner type thing, and you don't take it off right away, like wipe it down right away, what it does is it softens up the window slide, and then you go to rub it and bye-bye window slide. So that's something to consider too. Just, you know, check the edge of it with your fingernail and make sure. And don't use anything too aggressive on these things. Like, you know, you get rubbing on that with steel wool, you'll take the face right off of that label. But like I said, I got three 335s. Inside I've got this one of these has a good glass on it. We're going to use that on here if we can get this to go. But I've got 3 replacement number 4 glasses inside. And I know nobody likes to see replacement glass on their lanterns, you know, but you know what? I don't really actually remember what I paid for these 3 lanterns, but I don't think it was much more than about 50 bucks. So it was like 50 bucks and, you know, $20 shipping or whatever, because like I said, I bought this months ago before all this explosion of eBay people ripping you off for shipping. Like, there's so much of this going on now. You guys recognize this stuff, I'm sure, if anybody deals with it. What you got? Holy jumping Jesus, that is nastified looking. Here, I'm just going to turn that over. I'm going to take a chance. But that, man, that looked crazy nasty in there. I don't hear too much debris. But what's happening is these guys are like, you know, they put a product up and they make it look like it's a real decent deal, right? And then come time to pay for it, you discover that the shipping is like 1.5 times the cost of the product. And you know, you get screwed at both ends, because I'm in Canada now. I bought a few things through the global shipping program, right? You know, that's how eBay operates now. You can't work with an eBay seller in the United States and have them ship whatever method they want. You get it their method. It's not Burger King. You get it your way or you don't get the son of a bitch. That's the way it goes. But yeah, it's kind of annoying. And it's the it's the global shipping program that's, you know what, of all the, this one looks pretty nasty, but of all the gaskets from all the fuel caps here, believe it or not, I think that one looks the nicest. So what I'm going to do here while we're working on this is I'm going to just put a little oil in that and let that soak up in there. And what I want to do is see if I can eyeball the well, I'm actually going to take that out of there and see. I can probably see the needle a little better if I take the tip off. And I have got no idea the condition of this generator. Oh, there's the tip. I can see it. So it does have a needle in it. That's good. And that needle is indeed working. All right. But it was this that I was concerned about. Oh, I can see daylight through there. Beauty. Got a little bit of carb cleaner here. Beauty. I'm not going to ask it to do anything too crazy, but you know what? This is what I am going to do. All that shit's going to burn anyways. Like, you can be guaranteed that stuff's going to burn. Not only that, my little secret sauce is going in there too. If you guys don't know what the secret sauce is, it's 1 part seafoam, 2 parts acetone, and about 10 parts fuel. Regular Coleman fuel or whatever you want to use for fuel. Just don't use gasoline, guys. Gasoline, especially with gasoline with alcohol in it, is just not acceptable anymore. I mean, back in the day when we had leaded fuel or whatever, you know, when this lantern was made, you could roll up to the pumps and buy high test for like, you know, 35 cents a gallon. So, and we're talking about leaded fuel that was probably 106 or 104 octane. You know, those days are gone. Sure, it would be nice if they were still around, but those days are gone. You know, no longer can we run 12-to-1 compression ratio and have our little homebrew race motors and, you know, play Smokey Unic or Grumpy Jenkins in the shop. So right now what I'm doing is I'm heading towards a test here to see, first of all, if we're going to hold pressure. Oh, that's cleaning up nice. You know, comparatively speaking to what the mouth of this fuel inlet looked like, that is actually not looking too bad. So, you know, we'll see. I haven't got a clue. But I do know one thing. I'm not going to get too crazy cleaning this up, because if it doesn't work, great. If it does work, I can always do something with it later. But as a lesson in objectivity here, and this is going to be great, right? So, you know, let's clean up the bits that we can see the most readily. So, you know, we'll take our steel wool and we'll wrap a little chunk around here and give her the old 1-2, and like this as well. Clean up the nut. I have a feeling that this one actually ran not that long ago. I mean, to open it up, to find a lantern this old, to open it up and find still a little bit of oil on the leather, and have it pliable enough that we could get it apart, that's kind of important. Or actually, it tells a tale about what might be going on here. So, you know, in worst case scenario, we need to take it apart and clear the fuel pickup or whatever. The first thing I'm going to do, though, is we're going to see if it'll pass air into the fount, because based on what was trapped in that fuel inlet, and I mean, that was nasty, man. It was really nasty. For all I know, the air tube is plugged full of that same crap. Somebody put regular fuel into it and left it in there for 25 years or whatever. So, okay, so let's put the burner tip back on. Try not to destroy the pin to needle here. Okay, we're good. I know we got that correct because I can see it still. Give that a little bit of a tweaky doodle. The pump. And there's no controversy over this, but I'm gonna tell you about a little trick here. You know, sometimes when you're messing around with these, it's easier to put the stem into the pump and put it all in as one assembly, rather than thread the stem in and then try and get the pump to line up with the stem, and then try and get the leather to go in there and all that crap. So what I'm going to do is we're going to put a bunch of carb cleaner down there, because what I want to do, if this is going to pass air in here and pump air, I want to pump that carb cleaner through the check valve. And see what we come up with here. So there's that. Okay, now I'm gonna line that up. I'm gonna hold that there, open that up. Yep. In through that carburetor clean went, so that's good. I'm gonna call that, because it's actually pumping. It feels like it's pumping. Now, of course, I did saturate that by sticking that in there like that. I saturated it with carb cleaner, which means it's that it's going to dry that friggin' leather out like crazy. But I'm going to try and get this back on here first of all. One, you. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's good. And then I'm going to pull this up out of the way, and I'm going to put a few more drops of oil down the hole here. And then we're going to start cleaning the 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we'll give her a good squeeze, gluggy glug. Give her a spin back and forth. Try and get that oil distributed as well as you can. Open it up. You know, there's one thing that I don't see anybody telling anyone. If you, and you can get away with this. I've done it before. It works okay. It's not, you know, it's not a perfect solution. But if you don't feel like taking this off and pulling the rod out and pulling out everything to check the check valve, if you screw this in, okay, you screw it in and put your finger over the end, because you're not pumping any air in, all it's going to do is expand the pump cup against the walls, and you can tell whether or not the thing's going to pump. If anything, if you can get it to expand the pump cup out and get it so it's pressing against the walls of the pump tube, you're good. Then you can open it up and you can pump something in. So, but this is what I'm going to do. First of all, we're going to check to make sure that this goes, its full range of motion goes. And it does. Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave that open, and I'm going to clean the rest of that shaft off a little bit. We'll put this fuel cap on, not get crazy with it. And here's our steel wool. I'm going to clean this little bit right here. Yeah, see, this is cleaning up pretty good. This tells me that somebody took care of it, or it had been taken care of at some point, or somebody cared enough about it to treat it with kindness and, you know that it needed service, or, you know that it needed oil, or maybe later in its life, somebody decided that they realized that you can't run pump fuel through these things anymore. Because, like I'm telling you, what was around the mouth of that fuel cap was nasty. All right, so I mean, that seems to have enough resistance. There's no telling what's going to happen until we start burning her, right? But first thing we're going to do, we're going to put that, so we're going to turn the tip cleaner up so it's not passing any air. I'm just going to rotate that around a bit and make sure it's square. And it looks square enough. I don't think it's been really mistreated too bad. And we're going to pump some air into the fount and see if it's leaking at the fuel cap or anywhere else. So there's 40 pumps. No, there's some blue. Oh, okay, that's nothing. I thought it was blue paint. If it was, it literally came right off. Okay, so, you know, I didn't spray enough fluid in there for it to actually be up to the pickup tube, so I'm not worried about putting my ear up to this, but I want to see what's going to happen here. No leak there. Okay, it stops air, it passes air. Now, fuel cap check. You go up, you're closed. Okay. Now, first of all, we'll test the check valve. Oh, yeah, that check valve is leaking like a sieve. Well, maybe it quit. Try again. No, that check valve is leaking terrible. Yeah, it may start to cooperate, but yeah, not fuel cap's leaking bad. Okay, I've got the solution for the fuel cap. The check valve may sort itself, but what I am going to do before we get too far into this is I'm gonna hammer the carb cleaner to her again and force the carb cleaner through. What I should do is pour some acetone down there. Acetone is your friend, by the way, boys and girls. It is a highly good solvent to solve. It'll solve a lot of problems. It will. But here, glasses. I'm gonna go in and get one of my replacement caps. So I could replace a gasket, but you guys know how to replace a gasket. You want to sit here and watch me do that, especially on a one piece. Because if I stab myself in the fingers, you're going to hear some high volume cursing. And this is supposed to be a family oriented channel, and I really don't want to do that. Okay, so here we'll do. You know what we're going to do? We're going to do this. I got my little secret sauce here. In here is indeed 1 part seafoam and 2 parts acetone, and I'm going to pour some of this down there because we're going to put some of that into the fuel tank anyways. Like I said, if I can get them to pass air through the generator, I run this little groovy juice in there, and typically what that'll do is if the generator is messed up, it'll allow me to get it apart without having to like heat it and quench it and heat it and quench it and do all kinds of really stupid stuff. But yeah, that's looking okay. All right. I really don't think either one of these caps is going to be any better. So let me look. That one maybe. Yeah. I mean, it could be the. It could also be the lip. It could be the fuel tank lip. I mean, I did get it clean. It's clean all the way around. The corrosion that was on it is gone, but I mean, you don't know, like some of these things are just terrible. You sit around long enough and everything, you know, anything sits around long enough, you know it's going to go bad. All right. So I'm going to put this, I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to go in and get myself another cap. I've got some fuel in behind me. It'll be enough for a test, and we're going to get some cleaning going on this. I don't have a wire wheel on my grinder right now, and my grinder is sort of not necessarily incapacitated in the garage, but I got too much motorcycles in front of it. It's like collecting things has turned into a nightmare for me. But there's not much going on in that I've got going on around here that I don't absolutely love. So, you know, other than maybe having a pretty messy house and not really being able to show a whole lot of that, I think I make these videos outdoors. Well, that's not the worst thing I've ever seen. We'll give a run around the rim here and see if that'll clean up any. Oh yeah, it's going to clean right up. Good. You know, all we really need for it to do is look like it's something not neglected. And I realize, you know, that the yeah, it's going to look just fine. At least that part anyways. There's a fair bit of rust on the areas of the burner frame that were heated in the burner. Maybe the lamp sat outside for a while, and it licked up a bit of moisture in that and got kind of rusty. I mean, sure, you could clean it up a little bit and, you know, hammer it with a little bit of galvanized paint or whatever you felt you needed. Okay, plug that, plug this, and same on this side. Okay, I don't see no spiders coming out to visit my eyeballs anyway, so because that's typically what happens when you do that little test. We check out the burner screen. The burner screen looks good. We'll go inside of here and get after this a little bit. Normally when I do this part here, I'd be spraying this with WD-40, but then I'm really sorry to say, but the frickin' I had this thing down to its inner workings. I had the check valve out. I cleaned that, I got it working, because it wasn't check valving. And yeah. And then somebody sent me a message. Apparently, when Messenger goes off and I'm recording a video, it shuts off my video and it doesn't pick it up again after the notification comes across. So I apologize. I think I made it to the point where I was cleaning the burner frame and getting ready to put it back on. I checked it for the flow of fuel and some other things, but you know, I had my check valve tool out. I don't know, maybe you did get to see that. I know the video was longer than 35 minutes, and I apologize. So here's the working 335. It's working like a champion. Yeah, you know, other than a little bit of rustiness in the top of the burner frame and a couple of, you know, the hat's not all woogered up or really messed up, but it's holding pressure. It's burning well with those mantles on it. These I believe I was talking about these. I didn't get an opportunity. Well, I did talk about it, but I had no idea that it wasn't filming me. So these are from Amazon. You get a pack of 20 of these for 11 bucks. And for testing, they're fantastic, right? You know. And then later on, what I'll do is I'll probably put like a Peerless 24A on it or something, if I'm gonna use it. But you know, just for the purposes of getting after it. There you go. I'm going to leave this burn for a while. I'm sorry you didn't get to see the whole process. My video shut off in the middle of the stream, and that was really annoying, because when you turn the camera around, you can't, so it's facing the correct direction so you can see things in the right orientation rather than backwards. You can't see the screen, so it's really difficult to tell what's going on, and I don't have a camera person here. It's just on a tripod on the trunk of the car. But as you can see, the old girl's working quite nice. But it did take removing the check valve, and it did take giving it a fair good cleaning, blowing out the air pass, and you know, here goes the vehicles again. Later on, I'm going to let this burn for an hour or two, and later on I'm going to make a short, hang it up outside here, make a short, and I got a couple more 335s here to work with. It's really a terrible shame that the ones that, two of them that were in the box had busted globes. They weren't, I mean, they were packed decent enough, but apparently they weren't packed good enough, because it looked like somebody might have, you know, boot trashed them along the way or something. But, or maybe they were busted before they, no, I don't think they were busted before they put them in the box. Because they were sold as non-operational, not tested. I mean, you know what that tells me when you're dealing with a Coleman product? It's a, you know, it's just a matter of deduction, and if you know the theory of operation of any Coleman product, you can pretty much figure out why it's not working. But I'm sorry you didn't get to see the whole process, because I think the video was about an hour. I got the first 35 minutes captured, and then somebody sent me a message, and that shut the video off, and I had no idea that the video shut off. So I'm going to have to do something about muting Messenger when I'm recording video, or I got to go into the settings on my phone. Figured out. Oh, there goes a nice 74 Camaro, white one, real pretty. But yeah, this is going to burn for a while. I'm going to let it, and later on I'm going to make a little short about it. And but yeah, right after the video stopped at 35 minutes, I checked the check valve, I checked the fuel cap. I put a little bit more of my secret sauce down inside the pump tube, drove it through after that, because even after taking the check valve out and spraying it with carburetor cleaner and whacking it back and forth on the table, it was moving, but I think it had been stuck in place for so long that it had like an edge on it or something, and it just needed to be rinsed again, and then it was fine. So, and I'm pretty certain right now it's, oh, that's hot, man. Good Lord. Open that up. Oh yeah, we don't have Yeah, that's fine. It's the check valve is check valving. So, like I said, we're gonna leave that run for a while. I'm just gonna put that down there where it's not gonna be like scorching hot, so that later on when I go to hang it up, great. All right, sorry about Fired Up Friday, got kind of messed up, but as you can see, our 1971 335 is running pretty good, as a matter of fact. Put this at the back. But yeah, looks like I might need to tighten that up a notch. It's got a wee bit of a leak, but hardly nothing. Here, we'll do that right now. Give this that ought to be enough. 1/16 of a turn or whatever. Here, we'll run the tip cleaner again. Yep. Like I said, we're going to leave that old grill run a couple hours. And again, thanks for taking a look. I'll try and edit these two pieces together, and you know, what a shame that the video got interrupted for the frivolous messages that people send me. And I'm sure you guys understand what comes across, because everybody's like cracking jokes. It's Friday. People got home from work. They're all having a drink, trying to have a little bit of a party or whatever's going on in their head. So, all right. Thanks, guys. I'm out of here. Fired Up Friday's all done for this week. Maybe I'll come up with something good for you next week. Maybe something along the way. I got some stuff I want to show Steve Winkleman anyways. I got a new griddle for my 3-burner. I found one of those griddles. He was talking about these Camp Chef griddles, how they get separated from the stoves. Well, I found a Camp Chef griddle that perfectly fits on a Coleman 3-burner. So I got a 426 with a big wide griddle onto it, and we're going to show that off someday. In the meantime, I'm out of here. Keep them lit, boys and girls. We're gone.